Hello all, so I'm going to show you how to make choux pastry now, okay? It is a simple pastry to make. People think it's quite complicated, but as long as you follow the instructions, you will make it properly every single time, okay? Just do what I do. And there are stages of this recipe that you will have to watch and then rewind and do it, okay? Just watch what I do, then you carry it out because you have to work quickly. Alright, so what you're going to need to make choux pastry, and which we're going to make profiteroles with, okay? You're going to need the following. You're going to need 60 grams of strong plain flour. If you've only got plain flour, it'll work, but strong flour is better, okay? You're going to need 150 ml of cold water and 50 grams of butter, which I have already placed into this pan. So there's water in there and there's butter, so you can do that straight away. Flour's already weighed out. Make sure everything's ready and set and good to go. You need 2 large eggs. I've already beaten them up. And you're going to need a baking tray with greaseproof paper on there, okay? You're also going to need, if you've got one, a nozzle and a piping bag, okay? If you haven't, you still can make this recipe, so don't switch off. I'll show you what to do. It's very simple, but they won't be as neat at the end, but they'll still taste lovely, so don't worry about that. It's just a presentation thing. Okay. So now I've got a pan of water and the butter on the hob, and I'm bringing the pan of water to the boil. This is a key stage. What makes the choux pastry rise and makes those little profiteroles is the steam. So you don't want to get rid of too much water as you do it. Everything's in there, as you can see. And I'm just bringing it to the boil and melting the butter. As soon as it reaches the boil, you've got to switch it off the heat. Okay? Make sure you've got yourself a wooden spoon ready. I've got my flour ready to go as well. And the second it starts boiling and the butter is melted, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that flour straight in there and I'm going to beat it. I'm going to beat it as hard as I can to get all the lumps out. If you take your time at this stage, then it's not going to go it's not going to go well, okay? So make sure you do this one quickly. After that you can have a little rest, but this is the critical stage. If this stage doesn't go right, then it doesn't work, okay? So if you can see in the pan, it is starting to melt. Butter's nearly gone, and then we're going to watch for the boil. And like I said, we're going to pour all the flour in, and we're going to beat it all up. Okay. Move the camera back. I'm going to point it down so hopefully you can see what I'm going to do. Hopefully this will work and you'll be able to see it. This is where I need a cameraman. It's critical that it boils. If it doesn't boil, the starch in the flour doesn't expand. So as soon as it boils, I'm going to take it off. I'm going to put the flour straight in, watch, so you can burn yourself on the gas, and then I'm just going to quickly beat it up. I'm going to do it rather slower than I should be, just to show you lot. So mix it up and get rid of all those lumps. It'll smell a bit weird, don't worry, and it'll look weird. You've got to keep mixing it, and eventually, you can see that, all the lumps will go, all the starch will expand out of the flour, and it will come away from the sides and it will make a paste. You'll keep beating it, it'll start to come away from the sides and make a smooth paste. And don't stop until it does that. Okay, there we go. Lump free, and it looks a bit like that. Okay? A bit like mashed potato. Okay? And now you can chill. That is the critical stage done. Once it gets like that, I'm just going to get that flour off my spoon and into it. So once it looks like that, you can relax. Right, so once it's cooled down a little bit, so give it two or 3 minutes, because you're going to put the egg in now, and if you put the egg in there, it's going to turn into scrambled egg, and we don't want that. Okay, so you've got your little mashed potato. This is the choux pastry dough. We've got to add egg to it. And you can see, my eggs are already done, as yours should be. Okay, and we're just going to add them a little bit of time. You're going to need about 90% of the egg-ish. It varies depending on what
how the flour is behaving. So we're just going to a little bit at a time, okay? Little tiny bit. And then we're just going to whisk it up. And it'll look like it splits. It looks weird. Trust me, go with it. Keep mixing it. It'll all gloopy, it'll all be sloppy. But you've got to keep mixing it in and it will combine. Your job is to get enough egg in there so it doesn't turn into a complete liquid. It's still got to hold its shape. It's got to be a paste. And I'll show you what you're looking for. So add the egg a little bit at a time, beat it up. And then you can see it will go back to looking like that. Okay, you can see the weird mixture. So a little bit more. And then mix it again. And right in the corners, empty it out. And again, it will look like it's splitting and look all slimy. Trust me, you've not ruined it. Keep mixing it and it will eventually combine together. And there we go, it's come back to how it should be. It's combined. It's getting a bit loose now, which is what we want, but we still need to add a little bit more egg into it. A little tiny bit. Take your time, do it properly, try and keep the egg in the pan. A little bit more. And I think that might be about it. You can see how different it's looking now. Slightly runnier, so it's run off the spoon. But it's still quite thick. I'll put a touch more in. Let's see what I can get away with. Yeah, that's about it. So we'll be sticking back to the sides now. It should be lump free and it will look like that. So it should be nice and smooth. Pour off the spoon but slowly. Okay, not tip off like a liquid. Once you get to that stage, happy days. Okay, so get yourself a baking tray, a large one, right? Teaspoon if you haven't got any piping bags or nozzles. I'll show you how to do it in a minute with those. And you've got your mixture as well. So what you need to do is give them some space. Get a teaspoon of your mixture and just gently place it on the tray and just into a small round ball. Okay, you can make them as big or as small as you like, alright, but give them a little bit of space to puff up and rise. Okay, you can a little bit bigger if you want. It's entirely up to you. You're the baker. You do decide how your choux pastry buns are going to be. And just fill the tray with them. Okay. And do that all the way across. So if you're using a piping bag, make sure you've pressed the nozzle all the way down and you cut it off. Then I will place it into a pint glass or anything else that you can fit it in. And then just simply spoon the mixture straight into there. Okay. Fill it all up because you don't want to keep opening it and doing that. So use all the mixture, fill it up. Okay. Then get your tray back. Take your bag, tighten it at the top, but watch it doesn't come blasting out at the other end. So twist it, there we go, twist it, and then just pipe straight downwards, and then release. And make sure there's space between them. And like I said earlier, it is just a presentation issue. They will be not exactly the same, won't look exactly the same, but they'll taste exactly the same. So it's entirely your call. If you can get yourself a piping bag, good times. If you can't, just use a teaspoon. It'll be fine. Make sure you fill all the available space. Your oven should be on now. 200 degrees fan or gas mark 7. Okay, what you need to do, a little bit of water and just sprinkle it over the tray. Sounds weird, but trust me, it will help because it'll crisp them up and it will give a little bit of steam in the oven, and it'll make them a little bit nicer. Just a little bit of water. Then straight in the oven for about 20 minutes. Make sure your oven is fully preheated, 210 degrees, not 200, sorry, and gas mark 7, and do not open the oven until they're done, at least 20 minutes. Look through it. If they're risen and golden, they're probably done, but as long as 20 minutes has passed, because they've got to set. If you take them out too early and they look done, but they're not, they'll sink and you won't be able to do the next part. Okay, it might have been in for 20 minutes, and you can see they're puffed up and risen, and quick glance you can see a bit difference between the two, but there is no problem doing it just with a spoon or doing it with a piping bag. So the piping bag ones are a little bit more uniform, okay, but there's nothing wrong with that. That was used with a spoon, just a little bit misshapen, but nothing wrong with misshapen stuff. What you need to do now is get yourself a little knife underneath, just pierce them. That will let any steam out, and it will stop them becoming soft basically. So do that with each and every single one of them, and just turn them upside down. Carefully, don't burn yourself, but then it should be okay to handle. Make sure you do that with them all, and then they're ready to decorate. Okay, so now we need to prepare the filling and the topping. So the filling is simply just going to be whipped cream. Okay, if you want to add a little bit of flavouring, you can add a little bit of vanilla extract to it, or you can add a little coffee extract, or any other extract that you want to add, and a little bit of flavour to it. But if you just want normal cream, then just go ahead and do normal cream. You can also add about 10 grams of sugar, icing sugar, which you can whisk into it as well if you want it a little bit sweeter. About 150 ml in there currently. So you just get a whisk. I recommend you do this by hand, because if you do it by electric whisk, it tends to go a bit too far. And you can quite easily do this by hand without much effort. Just quickly whisk it. If you do go too far, it will split, and it will form butter, and it will form buttercream. Or buttermilk, not buttercream, buttermilk. So keep on going until it starts to thicken up, until it gets to the texture that you want it. Right, so I've got mine all mixed up and quite thick now, as you can see. So set that aside until you need it. Next thing you need to do is melt your chocolate. So this is what's called a bain-marie. In there is about a small amount of water, not a lot, you don't need a lot. On top is a bowl with the chocolate in there. Any chocolate you like, your call. Switch your pan on, and then all you're going to do is let the water heat up and melt the chocolate for you. Another way you can do it is if you put it into a bowl, microwave it 10 seconds, take it out, give it a stir, 10 seconds again, take it out, give it a stir, and then see how it goes. But try not to burn it in the microwave, okay? So as you can see, mine has started melting now. You can just about see that, okay? Try not to get your water boiling, just needs to be warm. Because if water gets inside the chocolate, inside the bowl, it will seize the chocolate and it will split it, and it will go really, really nasty. So just be very, very careful. Keep stirring it as well with the camera so you can see better into the pan. So that's what it looks like so far. And once it's melted, take it off the heat. So there's the chocolate fully melted and ready to go. Okay, so now you should have everything. You should have your cream done and your chocolate done, and your choux buns should be cold. Okay. Okay, now you've got a couple of options depending on what you've got available to you. If you've got a piping bag, your job is going to be very, very simple. If not, yours is going to be a little bit messier. Alright, but it still can be done. It just, again, it's a presentation issue. If you can get hold of a piping bag and a nozzle, brilliant. Otherwise, what you're going to have to do is take your little choux bun, okay, and you're just going to simply make a little sandwich with them. So cut them in half. Don't go all the way through. And just prise it open, just very, very, very gently. A little bit of cream. Place in the centre. And then I would put them on there and then drizzle chocolate all over them, just because they're a bit fragile, okay, because you've made a little sandwich, it could come out. So put them all onto your little pile and then drizzle chocolate all over it, Okay, if you are doing it by piping bag, then simply get all your cream into your piping bag, spoon it all in. Remember, get it all in to start, because you don't want to keep opening the bag and then making a mess, and it gets really messy if you start doing that. So all the cream in there. And take it out and tighten the top, trying to get it out the bottom. So twist it, just turn it gently like that, and then with the spiky bit, that can go into the bottom of the choux bun. So you should have made a hole at the start, not at the end when you come out of the oven. So just gently, or you can make it a little bit bigger with a knife before you do it. So just gently place it in there, and then just fill up your choux bun like that. So it's got a little hole. Then you can place it on there, and just keep doing that over and over until you've done them all. Okay. And once you've done them with your chocolate, because the cream is safely inside, all you need to do is just dip them. And there you go, one little profiterole. So keep doing all that until you've got a nice big pile, and you can make a nice display of it as well. Another easy way, if your nozzle isn't going into it properly, just use your thumb, little tiny hole like that, and then in and fill it up nice and gentle, and set them all aside. Do one job at a time, basically. Do all the cream and then dip them in the chocolate, or just make a pile like you would do earlier and just drizzle them completely. Depends how messy or neat you want to be, really. So a little hole in there, and then just pipe in the cream. And there's a little pile of choux buns or profiteroles full of cream and dipped with chocolate, ready to share or just eat on your own.